Hi there. Right, people have been asking me about why I don't like pad work and things like that. And it's not just because it's hard work. Why do I suggest that bag work is better than pad work? Okay, the vast majority of people doing pads are holding them in such a way that it's not reflective of or indicative of a real fight or a real sports fight or anything like that. You see them holding pads and they're like this, and it's all over the place. You know, it's like you've got somebody with two heads. Now, if you want to do it as a workout, or you've got a really good pad guy, that's different. I'm not arguing with you guys, but the vast majority of it is just done badly, and it it doesn't make you work on your delivery system effectively enough. That is the reason why I prefer bag work. Also, bag work you can do on your own, but a bag work done correctly is more like, I'm going to say it, is more like how you would deliver in a real fight. Yes, there's argument, people can say it's just stood there, the bag's not moving, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. 99 times out of 100, the pad guy isn't moving either. They just hold their hands out, go pop, pop. And you see a lot of pad work where the pad guy's doing all the work, making the other guy look good. And if you've got a really good pad guy, he can make a very average fighter look really good. And then when he gets in there, he can't do anything. The only way to learn how to fight is to fight. I'm talking about getting your technique right and stuff like that. The heavy bag, my mind, is the best way to go. Now, as long as you're working out correctly on that heavy bag. So we'll come on to that now. We'll address the working out correctly situation. Again, a lot of people, when they're on the bag, you just see them there and they're just wailing away at the bag. There's no real thought behind it. There's no real intention behind it. It's just a workout. So if that's all you're doing it for, that's fine. If you're doing it to improve your technique, improve your ability at sports fighting or self-defense, then you're doing it wrong. You need to be doing your bag work with a specific reason in mind. You have to visualize specific targets. You have to have that in your mind at all times, exactly what you're doing. You have to work your way into the bag, imagining that there's an opponent there throwing stuff at you. You have to throw your techniques and think about your defense should that punch have not landed. Again, I see people on the bag and they're throwing, and we're all guilty of it. You know, it's not like we're all doing it perfect, but you see people so many times they'll throw a simple 1-2. They throw the 1-2 with no regard for their own defense, either if the punch had or had not landed. So you'll see them throw a 1-2 which looks great, but there's no movement afterwards. There's no defensive movement. They'll throw a jab, no defensive movement. There's no moving the body in and out. There's no covering just in case. There's no throwing a 1-2 slipping under. All those sort of things that you would be doing in a real fight, a real sporting fight, or maybe even a self-defense situation. You would be looking at keeping yourself as defended as possible at all times while still attacking. Now, you're still going to attack with venom and ferocity and everything else, especially in self-defense, but you still got to consider the fact that you've got to be defended. You can't be throwing with your chin up like that, saying hit me, hit me. You've got to have everything correct. And you should be training on the bag in that way. You should be making sure that you're doing the correct movement to get in, throw your strikes, and get out safely, or as safe as possible. So when you're working on the bag, you've got to constantly be thinking of so many things. Your distance, timing, movement, power, speed, keeping your defenses right, moving your body, moving your head, twisting, turning, in and out, footwork, everything else. It's not just going up there and laying into the bag, going, look at me, I can hit really hard. Anybody can hit hard on a bag, done that way, but done correctly and working correctly. And this is where, if you're an instructor or coach or whatever, this is where you should be on there. When you tell people to go and do their bag work, that's one of the most important parts of their training. And again, I see it all the time, coaches, instructors, whatever. You know, do a few rounds on the bag. Nobody's watching. Nobody's correcting. Nobody's advising. It's just bag work. It's a workout. Pad work. It's a workout. You might say things like get your arms up, you know, keep your cigar up, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. But it should be done to improve everything in every area as much as possible. Now, if you're the sort of person who trains on their own a lot, bag work, then you need to ensure that you're doing your bag work correctly. You need to ensure that you're thinking about your timing, your distance, your movement, protecting yourself, and imagining that it's a real opponent there. You're training, like I mentioned previously when I spoke about knockouts and things like that, getting that angle and direction right, turning your punches over, movement, so that everything that you do on that bag is not just a workout. You're not just throwing punches and hitting it hard. You're doing that, of course, you're throwing punches and hitting it hard, but you're doing it with all those other things in mind. Then your bag work takes on a whole new perspective. Now, to my mind, again, people ask about training, you know, training for a fight and things like that. Bag work and sparring. You know, once your technique's good, let's assume you've already gone through all that and you've got decent technique and you can move properly. The only way to learn how to fight is to fight. Okay? If you can't spar all day every day, so your other training to me is bag work. Pad work, I don't bother. People often want to do pads, and I'll help them with pads if that's what they want to do. But I don't agree with it as a great form of training. Personal opinion. Bag work done right, sparring done right, is what you need. You know, apart from all the fitness and conditioning and everything else. But your bag work, you must work your bag work as if it's a real fight. You must. Otherwise, it's a bit of a waste of time. Unless, like I say, all you're looking for is a workout, then that's fine. You go ahead and carry on doing what you're doing. But if you really want to train properly, to make sure everything that you're doing is bang on, then your bag work should reflect your sparring, which should reflect your fighting. Which is, you know, there's a whole new area of this, you know, where traditional martial arts falls down as opposed to the fighting arts, so to speak. Everything should relate to everything else. You know, I've mentioned before about kata and things like that, and bunkai and everything else. Look at a boxer. Simple example. His shadows is the same as his pad work. It's the same as his bag work. The same as his sparring. It's the same as his fighting. When it's done right. Most traditional martial arts, their basics do not resemble the kata, which does not resemble the kumite. So they're effectively learning 3 arts. You've got to change that. You've got to make it one art, make them all the same. That's why somebody after just 6 to 12 months of good boxing training is able to decimate most martial artists of many years standing. You have to train your bag work like it's a real fight. I'll keep saying it. And you've got to make sure that you've got this movement when you're in on the bag and coming out on the bag. Don't just throw punches after punches after punch after punch after punch. You've got to have that correct methodology on that bag. In my mind, my opinion, for what it's worth, bag work done right is much better than pad work done right. 99 times out of 100, bag work done okay is better than good pad work. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. If you disagree, you disagree. So what? It's a free country, or free world, supposedly. You can disagree if you wish. Anyway, thanks very much. Let me know what you think.